Hey, TK, give us our goddamn women's tag championships. Yo, it's been forever. Build the division. It will only get better. What's up, sickos? It's me. It's a big spested, and you know what this is. This is Don't Call Me Diva, where we only talk women's wrestling. Moi, I run down all the women's action in the weekly AEW ROH shows, plus whatever women's wrestling related bollocks that I feel like talking about. Let it be known that we live in the world of kayfabe here in Divaville. It's episode 23 of the show, and if you need to know more about me and why we are here, and also a lot of information about the women's roster, go and check out episode then of this show. How we doing, people? Owner of her own fleet, Monet, has new titles. Goodness gracious, does she have new titles? Mercedes Monet defeated a Diana Strong at Primetime Wrestling's pay-per-view event thing, quite one-sidedly called All About Monet in Poland. She became the Primetime's women's champion and also the Bestia Wrestling's women's champion. Did I get it around in the right way? I think I did. That is the Polish Federation's Italian partner federation, Bestia Slam. Now, initially, Mercedes Monet was only brought over for the Polish Women's Championship, but as soon as Bestia Slam heard that she was going to be at this promotion, they were like, "Yo, we've got a title. Do you want another title? Like we're affiliated. Just shove our little title in there. Not little, but just." And they said yes, thank you very much, and it was then for two. So this promotion is run by a veteran Polish wrestler. Mr. Joe Henry has also been a champion of this wrestling promotion as well. I don't know too much about it, but yeah, there we go. While Mercedes was in Europe, wow, she popped into Britain. Popped into Britain? Oh, yeah, popped into Britain and defended her undisputed British Women's Championship versus, again, Diana Strong. Beth Phoenix reposted a photo of the CEO, and all of the gold, to which I love to see, sharing, fellow women's wrestling accomplishments. But Mercedes Monet took this as, a intention, and she left a very appropriately Monet sassy comment on it. I can't 100% remember or quote it, but it was very something along the lines of, like stick to yoga, which saying to Beth Phoenix is quite the thing to say. So now, real people, you real people out there who are like real hating on Mercedes Monet, come on, y'all pathetic, and the hate will literally rot you from the inside. But if you hate her because it's fun, and a result of her character, then that's absolutely acceptable. You can truly, but you cannot truly think that she's a bad wrestler, because that is pure lies and jealousy. And you've got to know it. You've got to know it. We have a little injury update on our dear beloved Thunder Rosa. She is actually like legitly hurt and will be out for a while, unfortunately. It's her back again. So hopefully it's not as bad as last time. But you can still get all your Thunder Rosa fix on her YouTube channel. As we have mentioned a few episodes ago, she does a cooking show in her underwear. Mm. Red Velvet is also injured, as we know, and she put out a little message to her fans on Instagram, just explaining her current health situation and the fact that she will be taking time off from social media to concentrate on the healing from her injury. She said she'll be back, and she's very excited about what she's going to be bringing next when she does. And I am also very, very excited. Look at those guns. Oh, she's Nyla Rose is in a show. It is a Canadian sitcom that was originally released back in 2016, and it's had 6 crowd-funded episodes. It's called The Switch. It's back, and it's free to watch. Online news site Them reports that from August 1st, already done, all episodes will be released, quote, through a non-commercial Creative Commons 4.0 license on YouTube, Vimeo, and Tubi, meaning anyone can download and distribute the episodes in perpetuity. That means pretty much that I think you can share them willy-nilly, do reviews, do reacts. That'll be brilliant. Watch alongs, maybe, maybe some Twitch watch alongs. Why am I telling people how to do their you do your own content anyway. In London on August 23rd for Eve's X The World event, Nyla Rose will be facing Nightshade for the Eve Championship. This is Forbidden Door weekend, so if you are in the area, perhaps consider seeing this event if you can. And if you do happen to run into anyone at Forbidden Door, say hi to them from Don't Call Me Diva. And as you know, good sickos put each other over. So, keep us in your minds. Layla Gray. Friend of the pod, Layla Gray, is having her album release party for This Is Layla in New York City at the Bowery Electric on August 19th. If you haven't heard her music already, it is fabulous. It is very much sexy, boogie, hip swinging, R&B, but of the modern era. I'm a girl from way back. So when I think of R&B, I kind of think of like back in the 90s R&B, but this is like more, modern. What am I doing over here? Modern R&B and like dance as well. Yeah, so it's not like cruisy. It's like really dancey to get your hip moving and everything like that. And if you, like us, are a fan of that fantastic black outfit that with the stars that we just saw momentarily, briefly, and never again, you can catch Miss Layla Gray in that fantastic outfit in her latest music video. But enough about that. Freya, happy birthday to our dear Dark Stat for last week. It was her birthday, and her birthday wish may or may not have come true. I don't know. Dark Stat is an interesting parallel at the moment. I don't quite know if we can keep calling her Dark Stat at the moment. It's more like a wibbly wobbly stat. Speaking of wibbly wobbly, beat. Anyway, audio listeners of the show, I'm currently fighting with Julia Hart. You'd think I would have learnt from all the past episodes where I've had to fight with Miss Julia. Not intentionally, but okay, we're just going to leave the woman a little bit crooked back there. Right. On to the Who Runs the World event that went down on the 9th of August. It was with MXP Wrestling, of course, and the event was streamed on the Metroplex Wrestling's Twitch channel. You got to subscribe to watch, which I think is like a normal Twitchy thing, but yeah, it's all there. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm very excited to see it. We had some exciting little special guests as well. The CEO made an appearance in the ring, whilst Athena was giving a little promo, and we even caught the Forever Champ doing a little CEO dance. Reluctantly, but then also very enjoyably. After what we see a little later in the show, after their match, are they potential comrades? Comrades in arms. Oh, I'd love that. Anyway, I've got the results for you for this pay-per-view. Oh, spoiler alert. If you don't want to know about any of these, then, skedoodle forward. So Billy Starks defeated Maya Weld. We know Maya Weld very well. Shay Carmichael defeated an Emmy Camacho. We do not know these two women, so they are on our list for finding out about later. There was a four-way elimination match, which had our Nyla Rose in it, but unfortunately she was not victorious as Charity King defeated her, Morgan Mercy, and Baby D. Morgan Mercy's a great name. It just really flows off the tongue. In the three-way match, the veteran Marsha Slimovich defeated Hyan and Bert Vixen. I love Bert Vixen, and I also love Hyan. I love all three. I love a lot of them, the ones that I know, and the ones that I do not know, I'm sure I will futurely love them. But oh, brilliant three-way match. I cannot wait to watch that one. The ROW Women's Tag Team title match was the Moneybirds, who are Gigi Ray and Monica Monroe. I think we've spoken about one of them before. And they defeated the challengers, Anakid Ash and London Dior. Why did I not read how to say that name before it just popped up at me? We got there. I was about to say Arachnid, but no, Anakid Ash and London Dior. They did not win individually. And then at the end, we had the big one, the MXP Women's title match. And former AEW division member Abaddon won the championship off of Razor Clark. They look so good with the championship, and they are speaking now. They did a very awesome promo after the match, after the whole thing, and it looks like they themselves are on a mission for challenges and also belts of their own. There are a few women belt collectors around the wrestling world lately. Apologies before we move on to all of you for the skipped episode last week. Moi was in the middle of recording, and then my body just noped the fuck out of being okay. And we had to cut the recording. Things I missed in last week's will be sprinkled in here and there during this episode. But we are going to be keeping up with the current storyline thread. So we'll just fit that in. Okay. All right. Enough of all that. Let's set the mood, shall we? Hang on. Excuse me, ladies. Bring the boom. Shake your boobs. It's dynamite. We explode into action with Honeybee flying everywhere. We are in Cleveland, Ohio at the Wolstein Center. It's the classic arena style venue. It's packed and the crowd are hot, so it fills the space with just love, energy, and wrestling joy. It balances out, the bland of venue that we were spoiled with in Chicago. The vibes are very heightened for this Dynamite. The lead up to Forbidden Door in London has been very exciting and intriguing. What I think is very interesting about AEW is that the energy from one pay-per-view to the other and the ride of Dynamite and Collision in between takes you there from, an A-plus storylining, for it's been doing it for quite a long time now, hasn't it? It's not just like clump, 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 clump. If you're trying to get what I'm saying, if I'm trying to explain my thoughts in my head. Like we have combinations of storylines at certain pay-per-views, and then perhaps it then gets picked up by a completely different storyline that's kind of been wiggling its way in from beforehand, and then that gets taken over, and then it comes in little waves, and oh, I just love it. And now I've just waffled off and gone completely distracted by my hands doing this. The Death Riders come out of the shadows, bathed in red light. Marina emerges first, an image of menace and confidence. Mox appears and then finally fucking Yuta reveals himself. They stomp to the ring in traditional Death Rider fashion. Marina is in a grey tank and army green pants, ready for battle, as I've mentioned before, but I must say it again. Marina's back is a muscular masterpiece. Oh my goodness. Mox stops to deliver them some instructions and then they continue walking towards the ring. While Mox is in his match, Marina paces along ringside as is tradition. Marina continues to pace intently during the entire match. After Mox does some fantastic teleportation trickery, he pokes Speedball in the eye, which causes Speedball to fall to the outside right in front of Shafir. Mox takes the ref's attention and Marina stands over Speedball, contemplating her next actions, looking back and forth between the ref's back and the down Speedball. Ifanyuta jumps up onto the apron behind Mox, and that must have been what our dear Marina was waiting on because then she instantly springs into action and takes out Speedball's leg from underneath him and forces him to slam backwards down onto the mat. Well, not really the mat, the ground. Whew! Dastardly deeds are completed, though. Kevin Knight races down to ringside and gets in Marina's face. Those two have some serious words with each other, and Knight decides to stick around after he gets Rip's t-shirt off mad. Not women's related, well, not women's wrestling related, but definitely don't call me diva related. Darby pounces on fucking Yuta, chloroforms him, and yoinks him from ringside, dragging him backwards into the crowd like a perfect ninja. Marina knows what. No, doesn't know what. Oh, knows? No. Oh my God, I've come back from the shadows and my brain has left me. Marina knows what way he was taken, but she doesn't leave Mox's side. Goodbye, FY. You may be long dead before Mox and Marina finally find you. We fade out to the remarkably unchallenged Mrs. Mox herself, Renee Paquette. She is backstage, dressed in white with pearl pants, and longtime friend of the pod, the silvery sparkly belt, makes an appearance. Renee, you will be seeing a lot of me this episode. Paquette is getting the scoops from Alex Windsor. She is already dressed for battle in her gear. She has the timeless AEW World Champion Tony Storm by her side, dressed in a flapper era gown and what sometimes looks pinky bronze and sometimes just looks like a different kind of bronze, depending on what light you're in. Shimmery material fit for a Hollywood starlet, she is, getting ready in her dressing room. An animal print silk scarf is adorned around the world champion's head, protecting those lovely locks, and she holds the title high and close to her bosom. It's just come to me. Timeless, it gives me a very matron vibe this episode, considering what she's wearing is very unmatronly, but it's very like chin up, tits up for the boys, kind of, you know, old school, if the boys were like pansexual. As Renee starts them off by asking Windsor about her four-way match coming up between her, Billy Stark, Sky Blue, and Queen Aminata. By the way, whoever wins this four-way goes on to face the TBS champion, Mercedes Moné, at the Forbidden Door four-way. I was going to say at the Forbidden Four-way. Oh, that's a completely different show. And then quickly sidesteps to the Timeless one in her match at Forbidden Door against the ROH Forever champ. Just don't mind me, Alex. After the world champion gets some praise in for the women's division in her own very unique way, Alex Windsor lays out some fighting words to her opponent. The tag match that took place between Windsor and Timeless versus Athena and Billy was absolutely freaking amazing. Timeless and Windsor were a couple of slump tarts from way back, and they even created the double team tango kick into the lariat, which gives me immense joy. Immense. Athena and Billy are experts at deviousness as a team, and after a stunning O-phase from Athena on the world champion, they got the win. Not really shenanigery either, to be perfectly honest. Timeless is in her glam, but she is ready to fight tonight if Athena has the ovaries to sign the contract. We double entendre our way into a tango finish and we leave Renee for now. After a brief check-in with our dapper trio of commentators, we are quickly taken outside to where Marina and Mox are desperately running towards a white body bag lying in the middle of a car park. Marina scrambles to drag what can only be fucking Yuda's potential corpse, but they get him out of the way in time before Darby can finish the job. And Marina frantically unzips the body bag to free the foot Yuta. Marina actually seemed rather concerned about her fallen comrade, and it's kind of sweet. Moving on! Earlier in the car park, before it became the crime scene by her husband, the remarkably everywhere Renee Paquette is there to catch the CEO, 8 belts, 7 boats, and a jet ski Monet, the commandant of her own fleet of ships, Mercedes Monet. She steps out of her limo in all of her bouts, horrendous sunnies, with a slice of watermelon in her hand. Briefly. Underneath all that gold, Mercedes has on an outfit of absolute perfection. It's held together by bits and pieces and chains with safety pins, and it's in all black gothic goodness. 10 points for the outfit. Give the outfit 10 points for the show. Renee kills the mood by mentioning her lost the timeless one. Their chemistry is failing a little bit. The TBS champion puts her hand over Renee's mic, calls her a mark, and then walks away with a satisfied chuckle. I feel that. I love a good self chuckle. Oh my God, I just self chuckled it. We leave Renee in the car park and shoot back to present time with a Windsor, which means her old music is back. I'm lost. It's entrance theme musical Cheers Jones over here with this one. It's time for the four-way to, as I said, determine who shall be facing Mercedes Monet in the four-way for her TBS championship at Forbidden Door. 2 places after this match is still needed to be filled, and we have no idea what matches these are that will be filling them. Windsor bursts out of the entrance stage in her dark blue, white, and gold battle gear. I have only just computed that her battle jacket is like one-armed, and I love the asymmetrical fit. How did I not notice this before? Windsor battle poses on the ropes, and she is brimming with confidence. Alex is ripped and ready to go. The familiar and fabulous hip-shaking sounds of Queen Aminata's music hits, and she walks out to the entrance stage in a gorgeous yellow. Aminata's off-the-shoulder billowing sleeves robe is like liquid as she swoops her arm for the one and no, I'm doing it the wrong way, the one and only battle pose. Last time we saw Queen Aminata, she was in the middle of the ring, full black outfit, still infected with the black mist, but she seems to have been cleansed from the effects and is stepping out in the brightest battle gear possible. Queen Aminata has the biggest smile for her fans ringside, but as soon as she looks at her opponent in the ring, the expression instantly changes to dead serious. Queen Aminata circles the ring and battle poses. Alex and Aminata exchange some playful banter, not so serious. Dark blue envelops the arena, and the heavy sounds of Sky Blue's music hits. Oh my goodness. Sky Blue has new shiny black gear trimmed in dark blue. Her battle gear is a one piece with all of the cutouts, and it looks very freaking cool. Sky has her long black sheer cloak, which connects at the neck with a silver bejeweled clasp. Adorned on her head is her blue crystal crown on top of all the hair. Blue does 2 twirls for battle and then glides down to the ring. Sky battle poses on the ropes and the lights go into chaos mode. The early 2000s explodes into the arena, and it's our final competitor. Starks comes out to the entrance stage as she battle poses. From the same tunnel doth comes a forever champ. The American Joshi, the fallen goddess, the minion overlord, Athena Elite Wrestling's 23 days as of this recording, away from 100 days as ROH World Champion. Athena is in black ass-kicking battle attire with sleeveless black jeanish jacket with a little bit of leather, which looks absolutely fabulous. She's got like these tassels on one side, and it's awesome. That girl loves a tassel. Wrestlers love a tassel, don't they? Her gorgeous sparkly belt over one shoulder and her contract for the world title in her other hand. In her hand. Her other hand is occupied with pointing out all the verbal points Athena is making as they both walk down to the ring. Athena's boots, also a butt kicking, knee high, shit kicking, strapped for the gods, things of absolute beauty, and I want them. Billy is in her black multi-pieced battle gear with blue and pink straps. Billy is fun to watch. Like, she really is. I feel like a lot of her inner intentions come through her facial expressions and her body language. You just gotta like watch her. I'm intrigued by the entity that is Billy Starks. And I feel like she may just be a vessel of demonic power at some point in her wrestling future. She is already a bit like Jekyll and Heidi now anyway. She has crumpled physics and the zombie-like ability to keep rising. So, yeesh. And then, surprisingly, the world goes grey. But red is accentuated in our hearts because it's time for timeless Tony Stark. The world champion shall be watching this match ringside, and this enrages Athena. The world champion has adorned some fabulously large sunglasses as she walks with authority down to the ring. Billy Starks is flapping her gums at Timeless, who gives her a strong point. Where's Luther when you need him? He is the king of a very stern point. The bell rings and Sky Blue bursts into action. She runs at Queen Aminata but gets thrown back into Starks, who gets thrown out of the ring by Windsor. Queen Aminata pulls Blue's legs from underneath her and starts raining down hands onto Sky. Alex gets rid of Starks and turns to get involved with Aminata and Blue. Windsor and Aminata violently bounce Sky between them. bounce off Sky. Sky stops the madness, but instead of a timeout that she wanted, she gets a double chop to the chest and she nopes the fook out of there. Alex and Queen Aminata share a moment of respect and then engage in combat. Blue tries to get back in the battle, but she receives a back elbow from Queen Aminata that sends her back out of the ring. Alex gets sent into the ropes and takes out Billy, who had climbed up the apron and gets clucked in the face with a forearm from Miss Alex. Queen Aminata and Alex Windsor return to the violence they were doing before they were rudely interrupted. Queen Aminata gets Alex Windsor down onto the mat and traps her in chocolate kisses. Queen Aminata finishes the move by literally breaststroking her way out of an imaginary, imagine. Alex gets brought to her feet by Aminata, and we cut to the world champion. By the time we come back, Sky has pulled Aminata out of the ring and thrown her into the steel chairs. Ugh. Queen Aminata slams into the stairs hard and cries out in pain as she grabs her elbow. Blue, activated for violence, gets back into the ring and takes some frustration out on Windsor, who is currently battling it out with Starks and was not paying attention at all to what was going on behind her. Starks whips Alex into the corner. Blue quickly comes in with a cartwheel uppercut. Alex recovers and catches Billy's head in a front headlock. Blue kapows out of the corner with a pump kick that knocks Windsor down and gives Billy a DDT. Sky pounces on Windsor for the pin, but Windsor powers out at one. Blue is pissed and gives the ref a look of death. Blue hefts Windsor up onto his shoulders, but Alex elbows Blue in the head and gets out of it. Windsor is quick and powerful, but Sky manages to counter Windsor and gets a chance to pin her again, but is still unsuccessful. Windsor and Blue get at it again, and Blue clucks Windsor in the face with a rising knee strike. Sky hasn't noticed that Queen Aminata is now on the apron, and she gets a pump kick to the side of her face with enough force to topple her over the ropes and with Queen Aminata's help, she tumbles onto the floor. The one and only takes aim, but Blue catches her foot and pancake slams Aminata face first onto the hardest part of the ring. Sky Blue takes Queen Aminata's dazed body and gives her a hanging, swinging net breaker off the apron onto the floor. Windsor is on her feet and doesn't take too much time thinking about it before she runs off the apron and cannonballs herself into Blue. Windsor quickly gets to her feet with a battle cry. But holy flying fraggles, people! A flying Billy with a senton and Tomoko to the outside onto Windsor just comes out of nowhere and takes out Aminata and Blue at the same time. The world champion can sense shenanigans are coming and slowly walks over to the pile of women. Timeless puts her pointing finger to work as she warns Athena to stop whatever she was planning on doing over there. Highly annoyed, the Forever Champ backs away. Billy grabs Alex and throws her into the ring, dismissing the world champion as she does. Last week, Starks was a tough opponent for the world champion. Timeless ended up winning with the TCM chicken wing, but after that match, Storm would get hit on the noggin with her own world championship from a snapped Starks. Athena would come down from her balcony of observation to get a good beatdown started on the Timeless one. But Windsor would be the one to race down to the ring, bulldoze through Starks, and save the AEW World Champion from the dastardly actions of the ROH World Champion. Those four went on to have an amazing tag match on Collision, where the best double team move was born, and Athena would get the win on Timeless. Will she get the winning O face on Timeless for the title? Back in the ring, Billy is letting that demon take control for a while and stomps down on Windsor for a bit before whipping her viciously into the corner turnbuckles. Billy takes Windsor by the hair and Alex tries to fight her off with decent elbows to the gut, but Demon Billy stops all that with a stiff knee to Windsor's womb. And it doesn't stop. Starks has a handful of Windsor's hair and repeatedly kicks her in the head. Billy then throws Alex back into the corner turnbuckle face first. The ref has been lenient considering it's a four-way and all, but this is a bit much. And she gives Billy a warning. Of course, Starks isn't going to take any of this and starts sassing back at Ref Aubrey. Athena is sassing Billy from the outside and Starks sasses her back as well. Queen Aminata gets back into the ring and takes on Billy. Queen Aminata gets into position to give Billy chocolate kisses, but out of nowhere, a missile dropkick from Sky completely takes out the one and only. All four wrestlers are back in the ring. Windsor is not looking the best, but she is recovering in one of the corners. Billy is getting instructions from Athena, so Blue grabs Queen Aminata and puts her in a head scissors, squeezing Aminata's head betwixt her thighs. Not in the plan was finding herself in the same position, but Billy has seen what is going on and locks a head scissors headlock submission onto Blue herself. Windsor, recovering enough stamina to come up with a plan, grabs Queen Aminata by the legs, who can do nothing but watch as Windsor flips her over into a Boston Crab. No contact has been broken at all by these three wrestlers as they roll over onto their stomachs from Windsor's Boston Crab. Billy is trying desperately to reach for the ropes. Athena is trying desperately to push them closer to her. Blue is just stuck in the middle, but she wiggles her ass around and eventually manages to break free of Willie. Willie? Who's this Willie? Free of Billy, and Queen Aminata can now twist her body free out of the Boston Crab. Alex is like, sweet, cool, on to the next one, and keeps on the attack and goes straight for Billy. Or is it Willie? Alex gives Starks some of that violence she was so willing to dish out, and Alex finishes her off with a face slam into the middle turnbuckle. Billy slides to the outside with the unintentional help from Blue, pulls Windsor out of the ring by her feet. Billy slides out of the ring with unintentional help from Blue. She then pulls Windsor out of the ring by her feet. Yeah, that's what I was meant to say. Ugh, silly brain. In the ring, Blue and Queen Aminata square up, exchanging heavy forearms. On the outside, the world champion makes the ROH world champion scamper around the ring. An extra spicy forearm from Aminata gives her some space to run to the ropes for momentum, but all it does is give her momentum into Sky Blue's super kick. Well, thrust kick. Blue goes for code blue, but Windsor is sprung into action again, yoinks Blue off of the one and only, and slams her down to the mat with a blue thunder bomb. Oh my god. She yoinked Blue and gave Blue a blue thunder bomb. Ah, move on, bro. Oh no, now I've really done it. Windsor goes for the pin, but before she can get the win, Billy rushes into the ring and takes Windsor over with a nice little crucifix pin. But Windsor uses her strength and powers out of it before she can get to the three. Billy's demon has taken a hit and is now back in control. She has some powerful kicks that really stop someone's momentum, but when Starks gives Windsor a bit of space and runs at her off the ropes, Alex uses Billy's speed against her and pops Starks up for a lovely pop-up powerbomb that slams Billy straight in through the ring, straight through the ring, and plants her there for the pin. Billy just kicks out before three. Not even she was sure she made it out of three, to be honest, and this hesitation would give Windsor a chance to then lock in the sharpshooter. Alex Windsor has a beautiful sharpshooter. She locks it in quickly and smoothly and squats deep, putting maximum pressure on Billy's lower back. Blah. Queen Aminata has recovered, is back in the ring, and when she sees a problem, she kicks it and boots Alex Windsor in the shoulder. Alex eats it up, but is tempted to let go and start this battle. Queen Aminata makes a decision for her and kicks Windsor even harder in the chest. Windsor lets go of Billy now, and she steps right up to Queen Aminata. These two stand toe to toe, exchanging heavy forearms into each other that won't take either of them down. They both take to the ropes for momentum all of a sudden. Both Blue and Starks recover and get into the ring at this exact same time. Billy takes out Aminata with a kick, and Blue knocks down Alex with a kick of her own. Now it is Starks and Blue who engage in battle of the kick, simultaneously cracking each other in the head, and that rocks them both. This gives Aminata and Windsor an opening to take over that battle. Windsor grabs Blue, Queen Aminata grabs Billy, and both go over and crash to the mat with synchronized German suplexes. Windsor knocks Blue out with a headbutt. Aminata knocks Billy out off with her head, also a headbutt. And my question will finally get answered. What will happen when headbutt of Windsor meets headbutt of Queen? Answer? 4 wrestlers down in the ring and a standing ovation from the entire arena. Oh, Ohio. Ohio? Oh, Ohio. Ohio, you are a bunch of good. Windsor and Blue get back to their feet and instantly start brawling again. They end up on the ropes and Sky starts to climb. Windsor stops her with a headbutt and climbs the ropes to join her. Sky takes her control back with some well-aimed shots to the rib and climbs up even further. Sky Blue takes Windsor down to the mat with a gorgeous avalanche code blue into the pin, which quickly gets broken up by Queen Aminata's boot. Athena is screaming at Billy, who is recovering on the ground. Queen Aminata wastes no time at all and drives Blue into the mat with an air raid crash. As Aminata goes for the pin, Billy has burst into action and is climbing to the top rope. Queen Aminata has Blue pinned in the middle of the ring, but she can see Billy is flying at them with her senton Atomico, and she moves out of the way just in time for Starks to land on Blue's face and a little bit of her shoulders, but mainly Blue's face. Billy tucks at like the last moment on her senton, and it just looks super fucking cool. Sky rolls out of the ring, all of the violence in her currently sentoned out. Billy doesn't get much out of it herself either, though, as she is quickly yoinked by the one and only and taken down with a fisherman's neck breaker. Queen Aminata goes for the pin. It's a good pin, but Billy strongly kicks out at two, frustrating the hookabillies out of Queen Aminata. We cut to the AEW World Champion, and she is giving William Regal in a headscarf as her face is a picture of astonishment. Queen Aminata pulls Billy up off the mat and then sends her back down with a headbutt. Sky Blue is on the outside, leaning against the ring, but it was a ruse. And when Aminata leans through the ropes to grab her, Sky smashes Aminata in the face with a steel chair. Where's she has a steel chair? No idea. Great plan. Sky is very pleased with her strong act of violence and unleashes a battle cry. Sky has plans but gets turned around by Storm. She instead sets up the steel chair on the other side of the ring. And it seems like she has some very painful plans in mind for the one and only. It looks like Sky Blue is intending to actually code blue Aminata through this chair. I never thought, I never thought that there would be a downside to having a bouncy butt. But Blue's bouncy butt bounces her completely off of Aminata's back, and she sends herself flying face first into the steel chair. That was not the intended result. And if that wasn't enough, once Queen Aminata realizes Blue has been taken out, she deals some more damage by air raiding Sky Blue through the steel chair. Yeminis! That definitely turned against her. In the ring, Billy is on a roll until Windsor discus lariats her head off. Athena cannot resist anymore and needs to get involved, but the AEW World Champion grabs her by those kick-ass boots and clocks her in the jaw. Tony goes into full Luther mode and points up a storm, chastising the Forever Champ's ass as she rolls to safety somewhere. Everyone is on their feet. Billy tries for a power move, but Windsor, but as quick as lightning, Alex rolls, stocks up into a tight little package, and boom! Alex gets the 3. And Windsor is going to London. She lives in London, but yay, London! More importantly, she gets to challenge in the 4-way for Mercedes Moné's TBS Championship. Windsor gets her hand raised as Timeless celebrates her victory. But then someone else wants to celebrate. It is the CEO, Mercedes Moné, with all of the belts. She has 5 hanging from the TBS Championship that is around her waist. It's like a little half skirt. And I'm not going to lie, I was actually a real big fan of this look. I fucking loved it. The other 2 belts are on her shoulder and she walks down to the ring. So, hey, so far, so good. She don't need no one to carry her belts. Monet asked like a random cable guardian to help her ascend the stairs to the ring, and he was quite starstruck because he didn't quite know what he was meant to be doing. But eventually he gets his head together and he helps her up to the stairs. And then when she gets there, the ref has to pull the ropes apart as far as she physically can before the TBS champion can finally make her way into the ring. After disrobing herself of all but the TBS belt that she holds high and gets in Windsor's face with, Timeless got take off my dress mad and gets into the ring to back up her platonic friend. Did you see the brain leave me just then? It just went shoot out of my eyeballs. Athena is stalking too and slowly climbs the ropes, looking to hit an unsuspecting Timeless with another O-face. The shot is perfect. We have the perfect line behind, and Athena is ready to pounce. Athena is a skilled assassin and hit her O-face perfectly. Windsor turns around to see what the kerfuffle was all about, and Monet springs onto her back and takes her out with the backstabber. See what I mean about this potential liaison? Liaison's not the word. What's the word I'm trying to think of? Alliance. Not to be confused with Elias. 2 absolute icons in professional wrestling face each other in the ring. The whole crowd feels the magnitude of this moment, and everyone is still on their feet. Athena rolls out of the ring, slings a slings a bitty billy over her shoulders and walks away from the ring. A willy bitty bitty, apparently. Mercedes gets out of the ring as well with her TBS champion and locks eyes with Athena. Windsor goes to Storm's side to check on the KO'd AEW World Champion. And we fade away. We come back from the break and we get a segment recorded earlier in the day from the remarkable shit-stirring Renee Paquette. And she is getting the recent grievances from the Generation Young Bucks. They are not the happiest, but Renee is having a great time. Remember, though, Miss Renee, always watching. Back to present. The same Paquette is in the ring, and she has the pleasure of introducing the Tongalis family, who have something very important to do in the ring, and we'll just leave them to it. Alicia Atu and her Say Something bout is getting the goss from the Rated R superstar, and until Beth Phoenix shows up with him, we have nothing else to do here. Namaste! Once again, roaming reporter, the remarkably comfortable considering she is so close to the death riding, Renee Paquette gets the scoops from Swerve in a ringside promo. Sidebar on that. Loved the little ringside promo thing. That went over very well with the household and also the online sickos, just in case you were wondering. And we then continue on to another remarkably in everything. Renee Paquette is now backstage getting worked with getting a fooked, not a worked, a fooked word with a Queen Aminata. A fooked word with a Queen Aminata. A word with a fooked Queen Aminata. Isn't it interesting how difficult certain sentences can be for absolutely no reasons? Queen Aminata is obviously not thrilled, but to brighten up the mood, the hero of the locker room, Willow Nightingale, appears and she suggests a multi-man match for Collision. But before Willow can finish, a wild stat, comes in with the group hug, making everyone feel like uncomfortable and very awkward. Stat is living her best life, though, in the tiniest shorts, and she looks amazing. As Chris implores Willow to make a speech, Willow eventually takes the mic and lets a few feelings out. Stat is not taking any of it seriously, though, and she manages to magically pull her new friend's confetti out of Renee's pocket, flinging them into the air, and just twaddles off to do whatever Stat and those little shorts are off to do. I think Stat may have just given us a little hint as to whereabouts of Renee's secrets. Someone needs to check those pockets. And with those shenanigans, we bugger off over to Collision, where we are in the packed and pumping Bergen Center in Roanoke. We get a very brief visit from Mother Wayne, and she is mothering up a storm as her youngest delivers a promo to the former patriarch. Whoo, hell yes, sickos, as we fade back to the ring, as Mega Bad's music is hitting. Penelope Ford is doing me the my good friend, of wearing an all-black outfit of absolute fabulousness, a black bra under a cropped fishnet top, and black butt-kicking pants. Get your fishnets up, hey? Ooh, get your fishnets up. No, not continuing that sentence. The Mega Sis follows, adorned in her white and blue battle gear. The contrast between the two is stunning. Phase 1 of battle entrance complete. We hear Arkady Aura introducing Megan's opponent, Emily Rose. Emily Rose has battled and trained in Appalachian Championship Wrestling and OHW. Sorry, I got nothing else on Emily Rose apart from the very wholesome fact that she was inspired to become a wrestler after attending an AEW show back in 1995. 2019. So she's very, 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 very new to the game and one of the first AEW inspired women's wrestlers that have gone from like being inspired and is now on telly. She is in dark pink with black mesh battle gear and seems thrilled considering who she's facing. Phase 2 and 3 of Fabulous Entrance completed, and Megan gets prepared for battle. The bell rings, and the Mega Sisters beatdown playlist begins with the opening track, The Dropkick, followed by important, very, very important, Basking in Thy Glory. Then it's the glorious flurry of attack from Bane, whipping Rose into the corner, ploughing through her with a running body splash, and then finishing off the third with a butterfly suplex. More very important basking, and then Megan stands on Brett's rope of healing power. What's she doing up there? Lets out a battle cry from the depths, and then flies at Emily Rose with her extra devastating Decapitator, the flying lariat. An impassioned, let's go! From the Megasis fires up the crowd. She's a heel, but we love her. Well, I know I love her because I'm a heel lover, but yeah, no. She's a baddie, bitty. Emily Rose lands a good back elbow that gives her some space to climb the ropes, but this just makes her easier to yoink, to be perfectly honest. And Bane grabs her off the top rope with a running powerbomb. She then plants Rose on the mat, and we get a 1 and a 2 and a 3. No shenanigans at all. Clean, simple, flying Megasis. This was intriguing. And we move on. Lexi Nia and her tortoiseshell glasses then get the goss from the baddest of apples and the biggest of bills. We shall leave them to it, but she's looking lovely this evening. Now, Madame, you can't see her. She's hiding behind the bushes. But a Harley Cameron has created a promo for us. She has been focused on the person who took her out, who may just happen to be Megan Bay. And she will be coming back with even more wrath than she had before, it seems. No words were spoken. None were even needed. Harley Catman said everything with her actions. Exciting. Yosh, it's spooky time again, people. Triangle of Madness have new graphics, new music for the faction entrance, and it's so goddamn cool. They have a whole new battle entrance to go with it as well. And once in the ring, they power up with a summoning circle. Very cool. Tekla is in her fluoro and silver battle gear. Julia is in her black and red battle gear. And Sky Blue is rocking her new battle gear. Looking lovely. This is a trios match. They shall be facing Ty Mello, Willow, and Queen Aminata. Ty Mello comes out first. No, and a J. She is in her green battle gear. Keep an eye on this as maybe a theme. Next is Queen Aminata, who has new deep, but also, a deep lime green battle gear. And it is beat the microphone worth amount of awesome. With her green, blue, and yellowy robe as well, it's giving me like this peacock iridescent goddess vibes, and it's gorgeous. The final person to come to the entrance stage is Hero of the Locker Room, Willow, who also has new battle gear. It is a real subtle green, and it looks lovely. The faces are rocking the green this evening, and once they are all gathered, they get into the ring. Willow completes her battle entrance with Sky and Julia pacing and stalking them on the outside. Tekla is already in the ring, and she is ready to start this match. She will be facing off against Queen Aminata. This is the fourth time Queen Aminata and Tekla have faced each other, I think, in a match. It's going to be fun fun to see what they have learnt from these past battles against each other. These two wrestlers waste absolutely no time to start a dance of violence. Tickler gets caught in Queen Amanada's chocolate kisses, but she has no defense against Sky's dropkick that takes her out. And Queen Amanada finds herself trio teamed by the Triangle of Madness, and they regain their control. Willow, Ty, and Queen Amanada have not worked as a team, to my knowledge, as much definitely as Queen of Madness, as Triangle of Madness have. So this might be a tough fight for the good guys. Tickler goes for the first pin, but Amanada strongly kicks out, slaps the skin off of Tickler, and both wrestlers nope the fuck out of there and go to their corners for the tag. Amanada tags in Ty and Tickler tags in Julia. They clash in the ring, and Mellow arm drags the fuck out of Hart. She clocks her with a kick to the back of the head as well and goes for the pin, but she just gets two. Ty is already frustrated. Come on, honey. But she pushes it aside and pulls Julia up to her feet and brings her over to her corner. Ty then tags in crowd fave Willow. Willow chops Julia, takes her over to the other corner, and then slams her face first into the top turnbuckle. She then nails her with multiple forearms that Ohio helpfully count along with her. Tickler is not going to allow all of this, and she goes over. Oop, oh, sorry. We're going to have to repeat that.
We're gonna have to beat it because I fucked it up. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Brain went into murder.
Ooh, have a drink break. Have a drink break. When you have the dries, you need to have a drink back. The good thing about weed is that it's so fucking cool, but it also makes you dry, and you've got to have a drink. Take a drink, I'll take a drink. You gotta take a drink if you're gonna stay good. Me too. Me too. This is why I have the electrolyte stuff that I add to water because it actually makes me drink fuck tons more water. Yeah, it's the only way I can get myself to do it. Nice. Yes. Yes. Definitely better. Oh, yeah. Fuck yeah. You wake up so much better. Oh, hell yeah. 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 Hey, you're like, I am ready to go. Not that whole like, I am Mm. Right? Right? Like you're like 30, you like before you woke up, you were like 30 minutes from like death from dehydration. Alrighty, back into it. Ah, yeah, Jeff thing. There we go. Ow! Tekla is not going to allow any of this to continue since the ref was not planning on stopping this. So she takes matters into her own hands, runs into the ring, and lays in forearms to Willow's back. To be fair, the ref ain't doing much here either. Blazes up. Hart and Tekla bring Willow to the middle of the ring for a double team suplex, but the babe with said power turns it on both of them and suplexes them over her head, slamming them hard down onto the mat. We get a trios gun show from the faces in celebration. Sky takes control though with a flying crossbody off the top rope. Well, she tries, but Willow stands her ground and yoinks Blue out of the sky and slams her down onto the mat. Willow locks on a camel clutch to Blue and wrenches back on Sky's jaw. Tekla tries to put a stop to this, but Ty is on her quickly and stops the attempt at breaking up the pin. Julia Hart also has sprung into action and tries to knock Willow out with a forearm shot, but Queen Amanada is in the ring too, and she takes Julia out. Sky is still being tortured by the camel clutch in the ring. They get those two out of the ring and then form a beautiful submission power battle pose, with Sky Blue being the unconsenting centerpiece. Ty and Amanada take an arm each and then smushes Blue's face between their feet. It looks very cool, but it is highly illegal, and they end up breaking the submission on Blue themselves. Surprisingly, Sky still has control of her limbs and can avoid the incoming body slam from Willow. Willow climbs the top ropes for a flying move of destruction, but Sky Blue's long leg reach kicks Willow off the top rope and she tumbles down to the floor. Willow seems to have tweaked her ankle a little bit on the way down, which could put her power moves and the pounce at a disadvantage. Sky Blue follows her out and stamps a chop into Willow's chest. She rolls onto her back. Oh, she rolls her back into the ring where she then rains down forearms and a few closed fists down onto a hurting Willow. Tickler and Julia jump off the apron, run around to the opposite team, and pull them both off the apron. Julia then lariats Tay Mallow just for extra measure. In the ring, Blue has the ref's attention by dealing damage to Willow in the corner. Mission complete. Tickler jumps back up onto the apron and does some illegal damage to Willow right in front of the ref. Bind you and Julia Hart and her perfect abs get up onto the apron and she tags in. The two former TBS champions engage in battle. Julia releases some inner rage and slams Willow's head down into the mat. She goes for the pin, but Willow can still kick out at two. Julia sees that they are very close to the ropes and gets a wicked idea. She chokes Willow on the bottom rope and puts pressure on the back of her neck until the ref gets her to stop under threat of disqualification. Willow can't recover quick enough and gets thrown into the corner turnbuckles for some more punishment. While there, Julia tags in Tickler. Tickler lays in some damage to Willow as her team and the crowd try to give the extra boost Willow needs to break away from the toxic spider. But until that moment can happen, Willow gets a thrust kick into the head from Tickler. Willow gets beaten all around the ring, weakening her up for the toxic spider's web, the Judogumo. Triangle of Madness assemble around the screaming Willow until Tickler must then release Willow, which she does in spunky toxic fashion. Judogumo, Jodogumo is the name that always feels like oatmeal coming out of my mouth no matter how many times I practice it. I'll get there. Jodogumo is a Japanese yokai. It is a shapeshifter described as a woman spider. There's a connection. Tickler may just have brought with her to the United States some of this yokai's essence, adding to the supernatural powers that make up the force behind the Triangle of Madness. This is very intriguing. Some ref fuckery causes the heels to be able to take advantage and they team up on Willow. The ref never saw the legal tag between Willow and Queen Amanada and stops her getting into the ring. But when she sees Blue thrust kick Willow, she pushes us past him and yoinks Blue in the air with an air raid crash. Chaos then breaks out in the ring. The ref, who has had little control over this match already, is now very overwhelmed. Sidebar. The refs are great in AEW, but boy, they have one hitbox and they can be easily bamboozled. Both Tickler and Willow are down and out in the center of the ring. Queen Amanada on the apron is desperately trying to will Willow over to her for the tag. The crowd are also doing their best to try and help. Willow manages to finally crawl over to the one and only and tags her in. Tickler has also managed to make it to Sky Blue and she tags her in. Queen Amanada takes Sky Blue on a painful journey around the ring, battle crying out to the crowd for extra power. The snappiest of suplexes sends Blue to the corner. Amanada runs a lariat through her, then snaps her into next week with a swinging neck breaker. Amanada goes for the pin, but it gets broken up by Julia Hart. Everyone throws hands and Tay Mallow gets the tag. She is fresh and full of stamina. Blue, already a bit freaked up, gets dealt some serious damage and crumples into the corner after a running pump kick from Tay. Mallow stomps on Blue's face, releases a battle cry, then drags her dazed body into the middle of the ring for the DDT. Tay goes for the pin, but it gets broken up by Tickler at 2. Tickler lays into Tay and almost takes her out with a spear out of spider form, but out of nowhere, Willow comes in with the pounce and the toxic spider goes flying. Sky pulls down the top rope and then Willow goes flying over there. Ty Mello quickly comes in behind Sky and rolls her up, but Sky kicks out at one, a strong and very defiant kick out this late into the match. Very impressed by Miss Blue. Ty yoinks Blue again and hits her up onto her back for the Ty KO, but instead, Ty gets a thrust kick to the face from Hart. Hart and Blue hoist Ty, who's bleh. Hart and Blue hoists Ty up for the swinging Yiranage, and Sky goes for the pin. Julia holds back Queen Amanada, and since everyone else is down and out, there's no one there to break up the pin. And Triangle of Madness are free to get the 1, the 2, and the 3. Yes! As Triangle of Madness battle poses in victory, we fade away to a pre-taped promo from Sky Flight, which means we get Layla Gray, but very tiny, very tiny, 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 tiny. Fave of the pod, Layla Gray, is in an all black, little black, an all black, little black dress. Why did I say that like that? But she looks absolutely divine. So we're just going to blame Layla Gray. I'm just taking my thoughts out of her head. Oh, there she is. Bless her little heart. Praise Layla Gray. Oh, this can be the praise Layla Gray moment. Everyone in with Layla, out with Gray. In with Layla, out with Gray. And we're moving on. After collision, Athena gives us a backstage promo, which you can only find on the social media account of AEW. Tony Storm's dress has managed to make its way onto the Forever Champ's body. And she makes more promises of violence towards the world champion as she twirls herself into absolute madness, trying to be the timeless one, but she's Athena. We know she's just taking the piss. No ROH women's matches this week, unfortunately. But last week we did have a freaking amazing match from Trish Adora. She had a wonderful match against Aaliyah James. It's very cool. Trish Adora is doing so well. She's nice and comfortable in her character now. She's fluid in the ring. Oh, it's all good. All right. Bye, Layla. Bye. Goodbye. This week, I wanted to talk about a woman who gave two icons what I personally think they needed to be iconic. The recent, whatevers of the recent, whatevers, made me think about her a lot. And instead of, not that we would anyway, but I guess in spite of that, almost as a fight back onto the accolades of woes, I wanted to talk about this particular person. Without her, I don't think anyone would have given as much of a fuck about what was going on in ring, especially with the fever pitchness that they showed during those matches. If she wasn't ringside, she made those storylines work on like a deep emotional level. She got the crowd actually invested, and she didn't even have to do much. She was just herself in like these pretty little dresses. She was the person who was beloved so much by the fans back then in those first like rivalries, that they would become they would become sympathetic to Macho, which they weren't before. They Macho Man was a heel. They were like, but would also jump the barriers to defend her honor if he ever was berating her ringside. This woman, who is on the screen now, is in my opinion as responsible for the popularity of wrestling in the 80s and 90s just as much as The men who are constantly showered with the same praise, but she doesn't have all the essay and racism. That woman is Miss motherfucking Elizabeth. Every iconic moment in Cuntamania involves Miss Elizabeth. Miss Elizabeth was in all the shots, the promos, the angles, the love interest, the concerned friend, the wife of thy rival. Would Macho be so beloved if his character wasn't polished by having Miss Elizabeth in his corner? Miss Elizabeth liked to keep fit. She met Macho at a gym in real life, but I do wonder if she actually liked the wrestling business, considering she was someone who is so vital to its history. I've always wondered if it was as kind to her. The things Miss Elizabeth must have seen out the back of those wrestling shows could not have been a great atmosphere to be around once, let alone constantly, as as a woman especially. I mean, anyone effeminate, especially anyone not effeminate, especially. Macho Man may or may not have had a habit of locking Miss Elizabeth in dressing rooms at shows. There's no like definitive of that, and unfortunately, she is not here to confirm and or deny what went on there. But if there are about 20 horn dogs with zero boundaries way back in the 80s and 90s era who are around your love, you know, I could see it as a bit of a protect. It still leads me down an intersection of pondering all sorts of directions, and all roads lead to icky, honestly. But hanky panky harassment should never have to be something you need to look out for. The whole concept of her being locked in a room backstage by Macho gives me nothing but dark vibes, and I don't like it. But nothing has been completely confirmed, and I can see it coming from a protection. But yeah, but still, if you need to lock your wife in a dressing room at her job to keep her safe, then we have many, many things to talk about. To me, Miss Elizabeth was absolutely fascinating. The announcers would always compliment her on her dresses, which even as a little 6-year-old, I had enough sense to question, but I could not deny that she was absolutely beautiful and so teeny tiny everything apart from her hair, which was dark and had the volume of the gods. Miss Elizabeth didn't say too much. Her talking was loudest through her emotions and her expressions, that even though it may seem slightly minute, were read from miles away and through the TV screen. At ringside, whenever the camera panned to Miss Elizabeth, she was selling the whole thing with her face and body language. It made you genuinely care about the bloated mammoth in the ring, because if she was scared, then fick, this must be bad. When she came to WCW, those that made the decisions told her she needed a boob job because she no longer had her youthful beauty to rely on, which I am sure was great for her self confidence and worth to hear, and a lovely introduction to the job. No matter who got you that job, still, to me, I always thought that she never looked happy in WCW. And I didn't feel like she fit in with the faction she was put with either. When she was put with the Four Horsemen, which as an idea seems like it should have worked, but Miss Elizabeth then wasn't the same Miss Elizabeth back in the 80s and early 90s, that Miss Elizabeth would have worked, I think. Um, this Miss Elizabeth didn't work. They were a heel faction, and she was put in like a heel kind of characterish, and I don't think she had to be a heel character to be in the heel faction, to be perfectly honest. But this was a whole new era of fuckery, completely whole new era of fuckery. I think she absolutely could have potentially been a heel, maybe, but the confidence and the chemistry between her and the rest of the whole faction, it just wasn't there, in my opinion. During her time in NWO and during her managing of Lex, she never regained her spark and always seemed a bit defeated. Of course, it's just my opinion from like just watching her for as long as I have. And of course, it's a character. But, you know, I wasn't on the internet at all. I had no access to like the behind the scenes dirt sheet shimmy bobbers. So all of these opinions are purely my own from my recollection of the time. She, and I hate to say this, I really hate to say this, but she enhanced nothing in the roles that she was given in WCW, which is saying a lot. It was the total opposite of what she had done before. It felt like she had no more fucks to give and was only there because it was something familiar and because she had found love. Not making allegations at all, but from experiences, brains can get addicted to trauma and chaos when they are rewired badly enough at an early age. It wires right up to the adrenaline glands, you know, and the dopamine factory. And you find yourself coming back to those triggering environments, whether or not you want to or not, because you get adrenaline, dopamine reactions from that. It's just not in a way that you would want that and not in a good way, but your body still gets the quote unquote good stuff. So you end up falling yourself into these patterns. So next time you find yourself falling yourself into these patterns and you do have neurodivergence especially, or, you know, like trauma, try and give yourself a little bit of, you know, try and give yourself a little bit of a break and know that at this point you truly do have to work against yourself again to rewire that. It takes a long time. If it's not realized and acknowledged, it can never be faced though. If it's not hit hard enough with repetitive force, like I'm saying, you've really got to stick at it to break that pattern, it will never break. And good people have lost the fight in that war. Her real life relationship with Lex was potentially not great if you consider having two black eyes, a bump on her head, and a cut lip that was allegedly put there by Lex as a bump in your relationship. He was charged with a misdemeanor count of battery, which is an interesting charge. How can you batter someone, but then it also be considered a minor wrongdoing? Like, that's what misdemeanor means. It means a minor wrongdoing. Do you consider someone beating someone to the point where they have two black eyes, a bump on their head, and a cut on their lip as a minor wrongdoing? Can we also now go back to the point that this is Lexi at his peaky and Miss Elizabeth? Tiny. Fucking tiny. But we'll move on because that was the eyes of the law. To me, Miss Elizabeth represented goodness, sweetness, poise, and the ideal of ladylikeness when she was first given to me on my screen. As a child who felt literally personally queasy at the thought of being ladylike, I gravitated towards Sherry, Luna, Bull Nakano, and the Jumping Bomb Angels when I first saw them. But I did still love Miss Elizabeth because I could just feel how important she was for women in wrestling, even though I hated her dresses. But she was very sparkly. On May 1st, 2003, 11 days after the domestic dispute we just spoke about, you know, the misdemeanor, She died while eating food on the couch around 3 a.m., nodding off from painkiller hydrocodone, sorry, Xanax, and vodka. Miss Elizabeth was only 42, year younger than what I am now. Miss Elizabeth is still not inducted into the Hall of Fame, but as I have read through comments of fans, nothing official, but it was her mother that had refused every invite from the Wubbly Wubbly Republic for this Hall of Fame invite. And if we know anything about the people who are denied, that raises some red flags because Miss Elizabeth was definitely the kind of daughter to tell her mother everything. And if her mother was like, yeah, nah, then what the fuck? Also, purely fan rumor, apparently her niece and nephew feel a little bit better about it, but I hope they never do now. At first, I was like, this is a slight. But this was before I actually demolished the whole importance of the Wubblies Hall of Fame in my mind. So I haven't actually checked to see if Miss Elizabeth has been inducted into the other like big one. Remember talking about that all the way back in 2010. Imagine all the way back in episode 10 when we did the Women's World Champion tag title rundown. A few of the wrestlers of that were in this Hall of Fame that has completely gone out of my head. But yeah, I wonder if she's in that. The Wubbly Wubbly Republic still sold merchandise of Miss Elizabeth. So even though they were not given permission to put her in their Hall of Fame, they still very happily, raking in cash off that imagery and her legendary status. She's in 2K, the game. Like that is that just pisses me off. It really does piss me off because the least they could have done was portray her legacy in this game that we call wrestling up to the same tier as the people she personally helped to get there. I just found out about that 2K thing too, and that just makes me extra mad. So, Miss Elizabeth, it's been 22 years this year. Thank you for everything. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it didn't go better for you. I really am. I miss you, along with everyone else that we miss. There are so many women wrestlers and women managers who I grew up who inspired me with everything, even like to do this whole thing. And I know who inspired a hell of a lot of other like women wrestling fans as well and women wrestlers. And there are so many of them who can't see what is being created right now, and that breaks my heart. And before I turn into a raccoon, what are your thoughts on this week's episode? If you so wish, you can leave them as comments down in the appropriate sections of wherever you are. And if you would be so kind as to give this blubbering mess a like and subscribe whilst you're there, I would be very grateful. We are gunning for a humble 300 subscribers, and I'm beating the microphone. Oh my goodness. You know when you get to something and it just fills you with emotion, and all of a sudden, well, you probably don't. You probably don't cry at a fucking drop of a hat with an emotional thing, but leave me alone. I'm emotionally scarred from trauma. We today want to shout out to the absolutely freaking fabulous and the first adoptee, completely unbeknownst to herself, of the Sickos Club, Kid Bandit. Hey, Kid Bandit, we love you. So glad you are returning and back on your wonderful wrestling journey. She's gone through a fuck of a lot. Everything to do with like her body and getting herself back after all that as well. Her hair looks fabulous, by the way. And her gear is amazing. Her kicks are amazing, and she's just so freaking good. I am so sticky now. You can find this blubbering mess lurking threads at Bex underscore Bastet. And she's also under a tree in blue sky at Bex hyphen Bastet. Thank you to Shane, my excellent producer who puts up with all of me and edits and promotes this wonderful show that we both love. Thank you so much. Go check out Ethos Media Network. If you would like to check out more from him, you can get almost every subject over there. Join us and all of us at sickosclub.com, at Sickos Club, also on Threads. You've never met a more inclusive, smart, kind, and talented bunch of silly sausages who get emotional over wrestling, who also happen to really enjoy wrestling and can talk about it like adults. Before I go, shout out to all the new AEW friends. Oh my goodness, we've had a whole week of new fans watching. And in good Sicko Club AEW fan style, I mean, apparently some were dicks, but they're just dicks in their own world anyway. Everyone felt really welcomed. I'm so proud of us. We took the high road. We really did. And there may have been some, but that was in private. We had little mind, but no, we didn't. We didn't even joke. We were all everyone is so happy that you were here. So yay, welcome. This was an emotional don't call me diva. Women's wrestling rules. Don't be a dick.